Hi, I'm Shatbhi Basu. I'm a beverage consultant and a mixologist. I've been a bartender for a very long time, almost 4 decades. I'm 59 and I'm pretty much happy to get there. It was a journey that I began, a journey of educating myself, of learning, and I don't think it's ever stopped because it's ever changing and ever evolving. And so the learning continues. Growing up, all I wanted to be was actually a veterinary surgeon. But unfortunately, after getting admission in vet college, my family doctor decided that that was not going to be where I should spend time because I suffered from a lot of allergies. And therefore, since I had no plan B of my own, my friends and family decided that since I was interested in the kitchen every now and again, maybe hotel management might be a good space for me. But I spent 3 years studying hotel management, decided I wanted to be a chef, got a job as a trainee chef. For the first year after college, I worked in the kitchen. But again, there I realized, and I was the only girl in the kitchen there, and I don't think the chef liked that very much. And they definitely didn't put me where they had promised they would send me, which was the Chinese kitchen. And after waiting for about 9 months, I decided, I was wasting my time and I quit. So I thought, next step, why not work with a standalone Chinese restaurant? Maybe the chefs there are better. So I went and joined a Chinese restaurant who had a great chef, but obviously that didn't happen. The chef there didn't want anything to do with me at all. And so I started working in the restaurant, and the manager decided that apart from looking after the floor, I had to look after the bar as well. And that kind of scared me because theoretically I knew about the bar, but technically I wasn't skilled in the bar. I only knew it on paper. And the minute somebody said, go make a drink, it scared me so much because, seriously, I could obviously make it, but I would never know whether that was the right way or not. So I did make that first drink. I was pretty much petrified because the worst thing that can happen to you in a restaurant where you can't really hide is to make a drink, send it to the table and have it sent back saying, what the hell. Luckily for me, that didn't happen. I was saved that night. The guy actually liked the drink I made, but that told me that I needed to, step up. And that's how it began. It was a journey that I began, a journey of educating myself, of learning, and I don't think it's ever stopped because it's ever changing and ever evolving. And so the learning continues till today. The most motivating factor, I think for me, happened when I started teaching. Because I realized that the more you share of what you know, the more you learn as well. And I think when you see people, kids that you've given a future to, who seriously came into you feeling pretty much hopeless about their lives, and not knowing, having no direction, not knowing which way to go, having no self-esteem. And surprisingly, a lot of them when they came had not too much self-esteem. They weren't sure how their lives would pan out, and they were really looking for someone to give them direction. And when you see that they have evolved and they have gone out to do really great stuff, I think that's what motivates you to do more. So it in fact motivated me not only to teach more, but it also kind of motivated me to go out and do more, because teaching is not necessarily only in a classroom. You can teach while you're out there, while you set up new places, while you're on the bar, you're talking to people, and in a way, you're able to educate them as well, answer their questions, and therefore even make consumers more aware in a way that's not classroom. And it's fun. No, surprisingly not, because I think when I began, there were hardly any men in the field either. There were a lot of guys in the hospitality industry. When I started, we were, women were just beginning there. There were some great women entrepreneurs and great women food and beverage professionals when I started as well, who we looked up to. But in terms of bartending, there were very few men also who you could look up for inspiration or even learn from. So I think that worked in my favor. It didn't, I didn't get any flack from anywhere. And because I was in food and beverage as a whole, nobody ever actually even thought of me as doing something unusual. They just looked at me as someone who was doing their job, and I also looked at it as just being professional in the field that I had chosen to be, which was food and beverage. Now most people think of it only as food and forget that beverage is also an integral part. Great learning experience, and people appreciated it. Women especially would actually come up to me and say, "Oh, thank goodness we can talk to someone." Intelligently speak and get someone to actually make a drink for them. So no, I think knowledge is something that gives you a positive body language, and when people see someone standing who looks like she has the knowledge, I think they appreciate it. So yeah, I think so. And you realize that usually much later in life. When you're young, you really don't care. You think it's all gung-ho and cool. We work really long hours, very erratic schedules. But what affects us most is very often we forget about eating. And we eat really late. So we have lunch after we close our restaurant, which is anytime between 3:30 and 4. We have dinner at like 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. Our sleeping habits are really bad. Depending on how you're working, sometimes there were times when I would be walking home at 5 in the morning and I'd see all guys getting all geared up to go out for a morning walk, and I would be thinking, oh God, I just need to go home, pull the curtains, draw them and go to sleep. And so yeah, the body kind of takes a thrashing, I'm sure. I have never learned to wake up in the morning thanks to that. As a result of these erratic hours and bad eating habits, you suffer from acidity. And you have to really deal with it. I had to deal with it for a long time, and I realized that I need to step up and take action and get better there. Some suffer from it more than others. You tend to put on weight, you can see that, because you then get to like food hell of a lot. And when you experiment more, there's so much to choose from. We have to be really careful, and we have to remind ourselves that keeping fit is really important. As you grow older, you have to think of that even more, because every time you creak a little bit, you realize that if you don't look after yourself, the next few years are going to kind of really make it tough for you. For me, the one thing I've realized is that you have to be in control. You need to understand why you're doing something, and it's entirely within you. You need to understand where you are. For us in bartending, surprisingly, one of the biggest rules that we all work by is that we never drink while we work, and therefore that's a blessing, because we work hell of a lot, and so while we're working we can't drink. We choose not to. But I think you need to understand that you have to draw that line, and it's not just about alcohol, I think excess of anything is bad. I think it's stupid. As you grow older, you know more, and even if you don't want to actively work, physically, expose yourself or exert, you can still share, right? And sharing comes in so many different forms. So I think, you can do so much more. You can introduce people around the world to it. You can learn to write about your knowledge. It's just about practice. It's about how you look at it. And along the line, someone needs to change that, Maybe you guys can do it. It's a very touchy subject with me, all this nonsense about women and society and all. There are many societies in which women have been drinking for eons on end. Families, I think people are judgmental because they want to be, and I think there are people who don't want anything to move forward. If we talk about society, you and me are also same society. So I think if we have moved forward by default, society has most certainly moved forward. It's not just India, it's everywhere in the world. So if you go to the US of A, they have the same bullshit that we have here. So I think, women themselves should stop thinking of themselves as inferior or not having enough courage or not having enough conviction to stand for themselves. I think women should stand for themselves and say, what's the big deal? If you can drink, I can drink. So I think, we just have it. And society has to deal with it whether they like it or not, because we're part of that society. And so if we have evolved, they have to evolve with us. Everyone else thinks I'm absolutely brilliant and fit, but I know I'm not, because I know how it hurts. So I think keeping yourself healthy is extremely important. If my mother heard me say that right now, she'd be very proud of me, and she'd also laugh at me because she'd say, yeah, I've heard you say that so many times. But it's true. You need to. I have told myself that in the next 6 months, if I do not change the way I am, I know I'm going to be in a lot of trouble, and I don't want to be in a lot of trouble because I'm just getting to 60. I still have so many more years, but I want to go out and do some crazy things. I want to go out and work, but I also want to go out and travel and see things and be able to do everything that I could not because I was working so hard all these years. But you cannot do any of that until you're fit. This is it. This is the time to spend with family, with all my friends that I've missed out while working, and this is what I want to do.